call the meeting to order. Pledge the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm gonna hire you. I'm gonna hire you. Okay. Jake, you want to do the roll call?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Dawson is absent. Ms. Gunchin?
Present.
Mr. Siebold? Present. Ms. King?
Present.
Mr. Johnson?
Present.
Quorum is present.
Thank you. We need approval of the July 9, 2024 meeting minutes because I believe they were amended. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or June, I mean.
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, and we need approval of the July 9th, 2024 meeting minutes. Motion?
So moved.
Second?
If we could just correct the record, the approval would be for the June 11th,
Pardon me?
the June 11th, 2024 meeting minutes as amended.
Right, okay. And do we have a second for the July meeting minutes?
I think you flipped them around. It's okay.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, old business. We have two items, I believe, that are tabled. We're gonna leave tabled. Do we need a motion for that, Andy?
I move, yes.
All right.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that.
Tom? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're gonna go to appeal number 6, and Jake, I'll turn the show over to you.
Thank you. We have appeal number 13310 by Darlene Kiyama concerning a property located at 4515 Lake Pleasant Road, located in R1 low-density residential zoning district. The appellant's requesting a dimensional variance for a proposed front addition. Per section 205 of the ordinance, the minimum front yard setback on Lake Pleasant Road is 29 feet. 25 feet is proposed.
Okay, is Ms. Kajawa here? Want to step forward, please? Up to the microphone. And I'm going to have you sworn in. Ben?
I do.
All right, Ms. Kajawa, you want to tell us what you want to do there at 4515 Lake Pleasant Road?
Yes, I want to put a 10 by 12 addition onto the front of the house. Specifically because the current entrance into the house is pretty much a 36 by 36, and I have a picture of it I took this morning, entrance. So when you open the door, you either have to step on the steps that go up into the kitchen to close the door, or you have to step on the steps that go to the basement to close the door. The problem with that is a safety issue. when the grandkids are over or visitors are over, they're taking off their boots and their shoes and stuff. Invariably, things get kicked down the basement steps, and I've fallen down those steps, and I broke my foot and stuff. So I'm trying to add an addition onto the house to bring more square footage up to the first floor. I want to make it a entrance into the house. Also, I would like to bring my pantry that's in my basement up and just make it to where I'm using the first floor more than going to the basement to get things. That's one reason. So from a safety perspective, I'm looking for that. I can't do anything about correcting that entrance that I have right now because of the steps there and stuff. So, and kind of need a little bit more elbow room. You know, I'm not a small person, as you can see, and you know, I'm just asking for 4 more feet and stuff.
You own the property?
Yes, I've been there 20 years.
And how, oh, you've been there 20 years? And you've lived with it 20 years, huh?
Yes,
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I did. May I add more?
If you want.
Okay, so a couple years ago, I requested a permit to change a picture window I had in the front of the property to a patio door. And I got permission to do that. Now I have a patio door that's going out to nowhere because the follow-up plan was to add this addition.
What is the magic number with the 10 by 12? Meaning, could it be smaller in order to adhere to the setback requirements?
Yes, it could be. It could be 6 foot, but for me, a 6 foot, I mean, I work in a 6 by 6 cubicle right now. And I mean, I literally can touch, you know, I just need some elbow room.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Anybody else here to speak in favor of this variance? Anybody else here to speak in favor of the variance? Last time, anybody to speak in favor of the variance? Is there anybody opposed to the variance? Is there anybody opposed to this variance? Is there anybody opposed to this variance? Hearing none?
Just have one further question. You're familiar with the criteria for a dimensional variance? There were 5 criteria outlined in the packet that you were given. They talk about unique physical circumstances or conditions of the property, all of that.
Yes, the property is on a corner lot. And it's a narrow lot, although it's long and stuff. So I can't expand, I can't add an entrance to the back of my house. If I could, I wouldn't be here and stuff. So because of the way the property is, I can't add that entrance anywhere else that I wanted. Is that what you were looking for? That kind of-
Yes,
Yeah.
an explanation in that regard.
Yeah.
So if we look at the assessment records that were attached to the exhibit, it looks like your property is 58 by 163. And if we look at your neighbors' lots are actually more narrow at 50 by 163. So really having any unique circumstances would be, I think, a difficult sell. I mean, you're 8 feet wider than your neighbor's lot. Now, being on a corner makes it a little bit different, sure.
I don't know if this is taken into account, but what 4 feet of what goes up to my neighbor's property is a substantial incline.
Okay.
I can't even mow it. The neighbor has to mow it. Yeah, that, over there.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Call for a vote, Jake?
We have a call for a vote. Ms. Gunchen?
I don't see the unique circumstance here nor a hardship, so I'm going to vote negative.
Ms. King?
I'm going to vote yes.
Mr. Seabold?
I'm going to vote no, because it's basically your front's the same as everybody else's front in your neighborhood. So this would be inconsistent with what's going on there. And then also for reasons Laura expressed. So no.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, I approve.
Thank you.
We have a vote of 2 yes and 2 no, which would be deemed a denial.
Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, moving right along, Jake, next appeal.
Appeal number 13311 by Sarah Mead concerning property located at 410 Superior Avenue in an R1 low-density residential zoning district. The appellant is requesting a dimensional variance for a proposed attached garage. Per section 205 of the ordinance, the minimum total side yard setback is 15 feet. 11.75 feet is proposed.
My name is Don Mosier, and I was here to represent Mrs. Mead.
You want to give us your name and address and get sworn in, please, Ben?
I do.
Your name
Donald Mosier,
and what's your address?
9284 Route 6, Union City, Pennsylvania.
And you're here representing Sarah Mead?
I am, yeah. They were on vacation this week, so I'm the contractor, so I said I would come up for them.
You're the contractor
Yes, I
for
am.
the
Yes,
job?
yes, I am.
Okay,
So
Proceed.
what they're looking for is they want to add a one-car garage on the side of the house. They currently have a garage there. We were going to remove that. Added a one-car garage and a bedroom over top. They currently have 4 kids in the house, and they need more room. So we're going to put the garage and a one bedroom over top of that as well. Right now, we're only going 16 feet with the garage, but we need to have a landing outside the door coming out of the house with steps into the garage. So by the time you put the car in there and you have the landing and the steps, really 16 feet is pretty much the minimum you could go on that. The lot is irregularly shaped. It's kind of a corner lot, but not a corner lot. The road just kind of angles there. But, yeah. So that's basically what we're looking for.
questions from the board?
In your estimation, or is there a way to build the garage which would be in conformity to the setback requirement?
Not be usable, kind of like the garage they have now. It's more like a shed on the side of the house.
Okay.
So I think I went to high school with you, but my question isn't for you. It's for Jake and Amy and maybe somebody else. So there was a variance granted that's actually more than what they're requesting here. So I guess my question is, does this older variance from 1993 expire? It doesn't say anything on the form, and I couldn't find anything in our ordinance that says that they expire. I know building permits expire and are time limited, but I don't know about these, and I guess I'm looking for guidance on that.
I believe they expire after 6 months when you haven't performed the work. Is that correct?
If a variance is granted, and typically you would have 1 year to affect the variance, to pull a permit, for instance, if it was a dimensional variance to construct something.
So the year passed, Tom, and I guess that's why.
I guess I'm looking for where that is, because I didn't find it in all of our stuff.
Jake, can you help him?
I don't see the evidence in the record as far as where that 10.62 total side yard, how that was calculated. I mean, it appears from the map that there's no dimension listed there for the side yard from that existing garage to the property line. And the 15-foot total side yard requirement would mean, obviously, that they would need almost 10 feet on that side, having 5.92 on the other side. They would need almost 10 feet to make up that 15-foot total. But I do not see a dimension on that map.
Any other questions from the board?
So where does that leave us then, Jake, or to the solicitor?
I think you need to act on this application request here. I think the prior granting is stale, and so this would be a new request that needs to be acted upon.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else to speak on behalf of this variance? Anyone else to speak on behalf of this variance? Anyone else to speak on behalf of the variance? Is there anybody here opposed to the variance? Anybody want to speak on opposing the variance? Anybody want to speak on opposing the variance? Hearing none, call for the vote.
We have a call for the vote. Ms. Gunchin?
Is there any value in tabling this or having executive session, or you're ready to vote?
Have an executive session.
Whatever you
Have
desire.
an executive session.
That'd be all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You wanna-
Okay.
Or do you want to table it?
Let's just talk about it.
All right.
Be great. Thank you.
Excuse me if I didn't announce we weren't going in, we were going into executive session, but that's where we were and we're back. And we can call for a vote. Jake?
Okay. Ms. Gunchin?
Approve.
Ms. King?
Approved.
Mr. Seabold? Approved. Mr. Johnson?
Approve.
We have 4 yes votes. The appeal is approved.
Thank you.
Okay, on to our last appeal for the day. Jake, you want to elaborate?
Before we do that, Mr. Chair, if I may, I'd like to make a motion to appoint the solicitor as our hearing officer.
There a second?
Second?
Second. Call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Jake?
Next up, we have appeal number 13312 by Karen Genovese and Bill Morton Esquire on behalf of Stephen Crow, owner of Crow LLC, concerning a property located at 1015 State Street in a C3 Central Commercial Zoning District. The appellant is appealing the determination of the zoning officer of operating an unauthorized dance club, bottle club. Per section 20417 of the ordinance, Dance club and bottle club are special exception uses. All special exception requests shall be heard by the City of Erie Zoning Hearing Board for approval.
Okay, Mr. Morton. All right, Ben, you want to swear these people in? And you are Karen Genovese?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And behind you is,
Hi, I'm Sharon Maloney.
okay. Okay, Mr. Morton is not going to represent you today?
No, I chose not to have him here.
Okay. All right, Karen, you want to give us your side of the story?
Sure. Well, I'm here as an agent for Stephen Crow regarding the building at 1015 State Street. I'm here because Amy has notified Stephen that the board
Speak
has...
into that microphone, would you please?
Okay, Amy has notified the board that, had notified Stephen that the board has decided to change the C3 zoning of that building, and Stephen would like to appeal that. So I'm here as an agent for him, appealing the fact that the permitted use has been changed without his knowledge or authorization.
Well, first of all, the zoning board doesn't change zonings. That comes from the city council.
Okay, so city council is the one that changed it?
They would, if there was a zoning change requested, it would go before them.
Okay, so none was requested, so we are appealing that because Amy told us that you
You're
guys
appealing
changed
the
it.
zoning officer's interpretation of the happenings at 1015 State Street.
Not interpretation, I was appealing the actual facts that I was given that you guys changed it already, that it was already changed. If it's not changed, then we're good. That's the only reason I'm here. Not for asking for a variance, not for anything other than we were given the knowledge that the board here, the zoning board, changed the use of the building.
Andy, I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, I'm Andy Schmidt. I'm the solicitor for the Zoning Hearing Board. And what's at issue today is whether or not there's been a violation of the City of Erie zoning ordinance, specifically whether or not the events that gave rise to the enforcement action, which is, was it being operated as a dance club or bottle club, in violation of the zoning ordinance, because that requires a special exception to which none had been granted. And so that is what is at issue today. My understanding is the city is here to move forward on proving its case that there was a violation of that ordinance. But what is not at issue is whether or not there was a change in the zoning today or sometime in the future.
Well, that is what I filed an appeal for. That's what we were told, that you guys had changed that use. We filed an appeal for that. We're not here to ask for special permission use. We're not here to ask for a variance.
And I can't speak to who told you what, but I can agree with Mr. Johnson
Amy did
here
tell me that.
that this board does not change zoning. It
Okay.
does not effectuate zoning. It is here specifically today on the violation that the city contends occurred, and it's here to prove its case because it's the city's understanding and the zoning hearing board's understanding that there was an appeal from that determination, that use that was going on there
No, I
violated C3.
The appeal that we did was in regards to Amy stating that you guys had changed the permitted use of the building, which we did not want to change. Stephen, as vested interest in the owner, he chose not to change that permitted use.
And just so I can, and I'll allow the zoning officer to speak, but what I have in front of me is a determination of an appeal of a determination of the zoning officer filed June 7, 2024, signed by what appears to be a Mr. Crow, and it is pertaining to an unlawful use of the property. That appears to be what Mr. Crow filed on June 7, 2024, and I believe that is what we are here for today. At least
Correct.
that's what this board is here for.
Because Amy told us that the unlawful use was due to the fact that you changed the use of the building. So if you didn't change the use of the building, then we're good.
So are you referencing that same letter that the
Yes, I
solicitor
have
is
it right in front of
referencing? Okay, so that's part of our exhibit as well. The letter states that that building is zoned for an eating and drinking establishment. The city is contending that there was use of that building outside of those parameters, that it was being used as a dance club or a bottle club.
Okay,
And that's why we're here.
So if someone did that, then there would be what, a fine or a hearing regarding that?
It's not a change.
Okay.
What the city is alleging is that there were activities inside of that property
Okay.
that were outside of the permitted uses of an eating and drinking establishment.
So then that would not have anything to pertain to Stephen Crow then,
Stephen Crow
which is why I'm here.
is the owner of the building, correct?
Actually, Sherelle is the owner. They both have vested interest in the building. So,
50/50.
no, it was a purchase.
Who is the majority owner or its equal?
So it's a land contract.
Okay.
So until the deed is turned over, it's in Stephen's name, but it's a land contract, so he has
The
nothing
land
to do
contract
with the
recorded?
inside of the building.
Is the land contract recorded at the courthouse?
As far, I would have to check with Steve on that. I don't do any kind of recording of land contracts.
Andy?
And if I can just clarify, it would seem to me, based upon the documentation that's been produced, that Stephen is not the owner of the property. Crow LLC is the owner of the property. Whether or not there's a land sale contract, at best gives that person an equitable interest, but for purposes of an enforcement action, under the zoning code, under the MPC, it's the owner of the property, and that is Crow LLC.
And Stephen Crow is the owner of Crow LLC.
Well, that's right, but an LLC is a separate and distinct entity from a person. He's the manager, he's the member, the sole member. But the owner is Crow LLC, and that is who is appealing the decision or the determination made by the city that there's activities going on that are not permitted in the building.
Actually, I see that it was signed by Stephen Crow.
That's probably right. As a manager or member of the LLC, an LLC is a fictitious entity, but it is still nonetheless an independent body. It's an independent entity. That is who legal title is in. He signed it as a manager or member of the LLC, because an LLC cannot put pen to paper. It needs to act through its owners, officers, or operators.
Okay.
So my recommendation would be for, if you have any other witnesses that oppose this violation, they're free to testify. The city is free to cross-examine those witnesses. Otherwise, I think the city is going to move forward with its case on enforcing the violation, or proving the violation.
Yes, we do wish to oppose the violations.
Would you state your name for the court reporter, and he'll swear you in, okay?
Okay, my name is Sherelle Maloney. Sherelle, Sherrall. Maloney, Maloney. I do.
Ma'am, go ahead.
I am a member of Reflections Entertainment LLC, which is currently purchasing the building of 1015 State Street from Crow LLC. We currently operate Reflections Lounge in Wingstop. We opened up a restaurant back in June of last year. We operate the restaurant. We have various menu items. We serve no beef, no pork. We also have a separate vegetarian menu. In addition to the restaurant, we do rent out our space to have events, which is what the city is interpreting as Dance and Bottle Club. We have various events of our own that we do have. And then, like I said, we rent out the space for birthday parties, diaper parties, baby showers, things of that nature. So that is what we do with the building.
Ms. Maloney, do you have anything else to offer by way of testimony in opposition to this enforcement action?
As far as what exactly?
As far as what the city is contending is going on in the building, do you have anything else to offer the board?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Mr. Check, Attorney Check, do you have any questions for this witness?
Just a couple, excuse me, just a couple of questions. Ms. Maloney, did I say that right? Okay. I'm Jason Check. I'm one of the solicitors for the city of Erie,
Okay.
so you know. What were the normal operating hours for you're calling it a restaurant, but what were
Correct.
your operating hours?
Our operating hours are Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. and Friday and Saturday, 5 p.m. to 3 a.m.
Now, are you permitted to serve food?
Yes.
maybe a better question, was your permission to serve food reneged, taken away by the health department?
Not prior to these allegations, no.
Are you presently permitted to serve food?
As of right now, our license is suspended for serving food.
And it's been suspended since June 6th, correct?
Correct.
And what do you need to do to get your food permission to get reinstated by the health department?
We are supposed to bring up some of the things in the building up to code.
Can you be more specific?
Our hood needs to be up to code. We were supposed to add a grease interceptor and get some other plumbing items fixed.
So basically what you described were plumbing violations. Were there any other building violations?
Just like they were talking about the second and third floors to which we don't use for the business.
So since June 6th, you weren't permitted to have food. Have you been running your business out of the building?
We have had events still at the building, and have been catered.
When you say catered, are they using the kitchen in your building?
No,
Do you have proof that they're using some other vendor that has a health permit?
I mean, my vendor is here. He cooks the food out of AJ Bayview Tavern on 4th and Cascade. He uses the kitchen there and then brings the food to 1015 State Street. And he has like the warmers and stuff that you put the foods in, and that's how he serves the food during the events.
Is that Jawan Jones?
Jahan, yes.
Is that the Who's Hungry?
Yes.
Is that his business name?
Yes.
Okay. So does Jawan Jones or does Who's Hungry have a permit from the health department?
Himself, I'm not sure. You would have to ask him.
Okay. Were you present on June 5th of 2024?
On June 5th,
When the liquor control enforcement?
came
Went
into the
into-
building?
yes.
I was present.
Okay. And were you charged criminally as a result of that?
I have charges, yes.
Do you know what those charges are?
It said misdemeanor, what were the exact, serving alcohol without, or selling alcohol without a license
Okay.
by means of agent or employee.
So was alcohol present at your premises on June 5th?
There were bottles that were empty, yes.
How many bottles?
I don't have an exact count.
If we said there was over 100 bottles, would
No,
that sound
that's
accurate?
not accurate.
No. If someone showed pictures from that night of like 50 to 100 bottles, would you dispute that then?
50 to 100 bottles, yes.
Okay. And who else was charged as a result of that?
Gregory Muldrew and Jamar Williams.
How is Gregory Muldrew related to the business?
He was working the night of the incidents that the alleged happened.
Is he a bartender?
He is a server, yes.
Okay. And was there a Jamar?
Jamar Williams, yes.
And how's he related to the
He
business?
is also a member of the LLC,
Okay. Which LLC?
Reflections,
Okay. So are both of you co-owners to Reflections?
yes.
Now, so are you disputing, so I can backtrack. The permit that you received from the health department, it specifically stated no liquor, correct?
From the health department, no,
Yeah.
it does not.
If I showed you a picture of the permit that you were distributed, and it says no alcohol or no liquor, would you dispute that?
Yes.
Okay, can you look at that screen right there?
That is a zoning permit. That is not from the health department, and it says that we have no liquor license.
Right, so if you don't have a liquor license, how are you providing alcohol?
Alcohol is provided at the events. It is given away for free.
You provide alcohol for free?
Alcohol is provided at the events, yes. It is given away for free. That is correct.
Is it given away, or does someone buy something and then they get alcohol along with that purchase?
No, it is given away, 100% free.
And do you have, for your business model, do you also have any entertainment that comes to the 1015 State as part of the
Yes, we
business?
have several different types of events.
Do you have either singers or dancers or anything like that?
We've had singers, we've had TV hosts, we've had special guests, we've had podcasts, we've had multiple different types of events.
Have you had any dancers?
Dancers as in what?
Like people that are like, they'll run like a DJ, they'll have like run it like a nightclub?
We have a DJ Friday and Saturday nights with our restaurant, period. So there's always a DJ on Friday and Saturday nights, whether there's an event or not.
Do people dance to the music?
Yes.
Okay. And question was, and then do you charge an entry fee to enter the restaurant?
At some of the events, there are entry fees, yes.
When would you most likely charge the entry fee?
When we have the events,
So there's no set time.
no.
Would you have those events weekly, like every weekend, or how would you?
Whenever they are scheduled. When we have the larger events, it's based off of when we can get the artists, when they're available. The smaller events for like the birthday parties are when people, ask us to have them. They pay us to have the events. They run the door however they want to, whether they want to charge, whether they don't want to charge, how much they want to charge. It all varies.
How much gets charged usually for those kind of events?
It varies.
Are you saying that your answer was basically that you just run Reflections and you rent out the space mostly?
Not mostly, but we do rent out the space, yes.
And do you get a percentage of the fee, the entry fees?
We get the percentage of what we charge the individuals for the events. Unless we're the ones having the events, then yes, we get the full percentage of the door fees at that time.
So it's possible that you would get the percentage of those fees as well then?
Yes, it's possible.
So you're not disputing that there's bottles of alcohol on the premises?
I'm not disputing that there was. They are not always there. They are not held there.
Okay. And you're not disputing you don't have a liquor license?
I'm not disputing we don't have a liquor license.
And does Jawan Jones have a liquor license?
Jahan Jones does not have a liquor license.
Okay. And you're not sure if he has a permit to make food?
I'm not sure if he has his own individual permit. I know he has a serve safe certificate that says that he's allowed to sell food and that he's like certified to do so.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions. Thanks.
Does the board have any questions for Ms. Maloney?
I don't think so.
Ms. Maloney, do you have anyone else here that is going to testify in support or furtherance of your position?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Do you rest your position, you rest your case?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any documents that you want to provide in support of your position?
All I have is like our menus. I have the like emails back and forth with Amy as far as the whole dance club versus eating and drinking establishment controversy goes. I have our sales tax license. I have our Erie County Department of Health license for last year and for this year. I also have records of our food sales to show that we are serving food. I have all that type of stuff.
And Ms. Maloney, if you think any of that is relevant and
Yeah,
you want
I
to
think it's all
introduce, if you
relevant.
want to introduce it into evidence, you're free to do so, but you need to show a copy of those documents to council, and then we can accept those if there's no objections.
Okay, well, they can just have these. I have copies of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Counselor, do you want to have a moment to look at those?
Yeah. Could I have a moment?
Sure. Ms. Malone, if you could just stand put for 1 second.
No problem.
Thank you. And we could admit those exhibits, and maybe we'll just use numbers. Each page will be a particular number, just for references in the record. Thank you, Ms. Maloney.
Thank you.
Counselor, if you wish to proceed.
What I'd like to do to kind of streamline everything is Amy Francis has been the kind of the contact person and has everything put together. So I have a slideshow, which I'd like to present and go through, and then she'll be able to explain each slide, which would in turn is part of the reasons why the city is saying that this is not being operated as an eating and drinking establishment. It's being operated more as a bottle club, dance club, which is the reason for the zoning office's determination. And then I have other witnesses, but they are here to really buffer or support Amy's slideshow. And really, the slideshow would be the longest. The other witnesses would be shorter and to the point. Would be people from the city who did the inspections after the June 5th liquor control raid. That makes sense? So, do you want to pass those out? Yeah, do you have a copy for either Sherelle or I would say at least for Sherelle? The other one might stretch further. The wire, the one we just put up there. So Amy, just to, since we're on the record, you state your name,
Sure. Amy Francis,
and can you state where you work,
City of Erie Zoning Office,
and how many years have you been with the city,
almost 3.
and how many years have you been in that position?
Almost 3.
What are your general job duties?
General job duties include issuing permits, approving zoning certificates, writing letters that give zoning verification, along with the enforcement side of things.
Okay, and are you familiar with the business located at 1015 State Street?
I am.
Were you one of the several people in the zoning office that made a determination for the reason that we're here today?
I am.
Okay, now, I've already stated that you have a PowerPoint presentation that you put together. Did you put that together?
I put this together.
And was this put together based on what you either saw or heard as part of your investigation into
Yes.
this? And along with some other input, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So why don't you, then with permission, I was going to have Ms. Francis go through the slideshow.
That's fine.
Thank you.
So go ahead. So why don't you talk about, what's the first slide?
The first slide here is the address, obviously, the zoning, which is C3. It is our central commercial district. The permitted use for the building is eating and drinking establishment. And in the ordinance 80-2005, which is our zoning ordinance, eating and drinking establishment is designed and operated for the express purpose of providing food and beverage services within the confines of a structure and/or involves the off-site delivery of ready-to-eat food. Along with zoning ordinance, there is building code that goes along with this.
In the IBC, Section 303 of the Building Code, Occupancy Code Group A2 includes assembly use, which is intended for food and drink and/or drink consumption, which includes restaurants.
And my question is, the importance of this particular slide is because Reflections was opened as an eating and drinking establishment.
That's correct.
And we're saying that presently they are not operating as an eating and drinking establishment.
That's also correct.
Okay, can you move on to the next slide? And what is this?
Previously to Reflections opening up in July of 2023, we had another gentleman who wanted to do the same type of business approach. As you can see, this letter is dated March 27th, 2023, to Crow LLC in care of Karen Genovese. I apologize, there is a typo in that letter. She was the property manager for Crow LLC, and Yafet Edison, who was the leasee at the time. And what this is telling them is that because they have no liquor license, we are going to certify them as a restaurant, but only with the food license to cover the definition.
And that prior business was called the Super Chicken Lounge.
That is correct.
And this letter's dated March 27th, 2023.
Correct.
And when, do you know off by hand when the new business Reflections opened up?
Yes, it was July 3rd of 2023 that we issued their zoning certificate.
Okay. With that in mind, maybe move to slide number 3. And
The reason we opened that up was, or let that go through, was because the Erie County Health Department had issued them a food service license in their name.
and does the zoning permit talk about whether they're allowed to have alcohol there or not?
It does.
What does it say?
It says no liquor, food license only, EDCH. Sorry, ECDH, I apologize.
So the health department approved them for serving food.
Correct.
Based on that, they're operating in a C3 district,
Correct,
which means they can operate a restaurant
correct,
without getting a variance or special exception.
correct.
Okay. You move on to number 4. And what is this?
These are the hours of operation I found on their business page on Facebook. As you can see, it was updated about 12 months ago. This photo was just taken last week.
And just as a follow-up, now this particular picture, and a bunch of other pictures are from their website, correct?
That's correct.
Or Facebook.
I'm sorry, Facebook website, yes.
And you were the one that looked at their Facebook page and then saved the picture for
Yes.
purposes of this PowerPoint.
That's correct.
Okay, can we go on to the slide number 5? And what does this indicate?
Same thing, just as of 8/9, these are still the operations.
So is it fair to say this slide was saved on 8/9?
Correct,
And according to the information, it showed they hadn't updated their hours in over 12 months.
correct.
And you can go to slide number 6. And what does this show?
This is just a screenshot that shows the videos and the advertisement images that were dating back 43 weeks ago as of May 31st, 2024.
And can you can see from the pictures that we have advertising, Playboy, we have women in skimpy outfits, we have just general events. Does that sound correct?
That's correct,
It looks like maybe live music,
possibly.
someone performing.
Yes, with some promotions going on.
And would you know when you saved this particular photo?
May 31st would have been the date of this one.
Okay. Can we go on to slide number 7? Now, what are these here?
These are various videos that led me through, whether it was a reel, if you just do a search on 1015 State, you get a ton of information. This is how we started looking into this problem.
Okay, do any of these videos show any activity that could be described as a dance club or bottle club? After
Yeah.
hours club?
A couple of them have been removed since I've created this PowerPoint, but this one seemed to do pretty well.
Now, is that the interior of 1015 State Street?
It appears to be.
It does appear we have like a DJ or a musician. We have what I would think are like lighting, very similar to a
Correct.
dance club. Do you see anyone sitting down and eating?
I do not.
Okay. And again, you've been to 1015 State Street, correct?
Correct.
So does this correlate with what you remember space-wise?
From what I can remember, yes.
Okay. Okay, sure. We go to then the next slide. And what is this?
This is just the screenshot of everything that shows up when you get onto their Reflections page for their business. Just all the ads, all the pictures, it just kind of groups them all. So there are some repeats. It depends on how much you advertise those. It gets loaded in there correctly.
Do you see anything here that encourages eating at the restaurant?
Not too much. The only thing we ever really see is Jahan Jones, the little tiny symbol. It's very small.
Okay. But it looks like most of these would be themed type of events.
That's correct.
And some of them look like they would be dancing or music involved.
That's correct.
Okay, can you go to the next slide? And again,
Just some more, sorry.
okay. Do you know the date that you saved those?
These were all prior to, I believe, June 4th.
Okay. And is this another thing you took from their Facebook or website?
Yeah, just random pictures that, or ads that came up, different
Okay.
dates, different themes.
Now, for this particular ad, does it state when the door actually opens?
It does on this one, it says 12 a.m.
Okay, 12 a.m. Can you go to the next slide? Now, this one, very similar, looks like silent party, DJs. Does it talk about the floor price?
2 floors are being used on this night, apparently. Tickets were $25 to get in. They were higher at the door to the restaurant.
Okay. And it looks like people are ready to dance, not eat.
Yes.
Can you go to the next slide? Okay. It looks like these are dated May 24th and May 25th.
Correct.
And again, does it say when the doors open?
12 a.m.
Okay, so of all the ads you looked at so far, we haven't seen anything that says they open at 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. or 5 p.m.
That's correct.
Okay. Can you go to the next one? That's slide 13. What is this one?
This is, again, another Friday, Saturday Gemini weekend takeover, they call it. It is free food for Geminis until 12:20, and there will be a $20 re-entry fee.
Okay. It's they open at 12 midnight, right?
Correct.
And free food is only until 12:20.
Correct.
Okay. And it does look like again, another entry fee.
Correct.
Okay, you go to the next slide. Now, what is this picture?
This was the day that we had been asked to go in with the liquor control enforcement officers on their raid. All code enforcement officers, including building, zoning, electrical, plumbing, and property maintenance were in attendance. And this is the scene that was in the building when we got there.
Yeah. And did you take this picture?
I did.
And what is this a picture of?
This is a picture of bottles of liquor, and some of them were not empty.
And how many bottles do you think are in that picture?
Approximately 40 in that picture within the back as well.
And also to state, and just to reemphasize, the permit for the eating and drinking establishment, they don't have a liquor license.
No liquor license on premises.
And they're not authorized to serve alcohol.
Correct.
Okay. Can you go to the next picture? Did you take these pictures?
I did.
Now, is one of these pictures the opposite side of that first picture?
It
or is
is.
that different?
I do believe it was from the other side of the bar.
Okay. So again, all the different bottles. What's the picture on the left?
Picture on the left says good for 1 drink.
So 1 drink or 1 bottle of alcohol?
1 drink is what it says. So
Okay. How would you interpret 1 drink?
just a normal local establishment, if you had a free drink, like a to-it, I would assume this is something similar.
So like a beer, glass
Free
of
beer, free glass of
glass of
wine,
maybe a shot?
maybe a shot.
Okay. So You go to the next pictures. What is this a picture of?
These are some of the back areas that we had gone into. It is very hard to see which side of the building is. McCoy's does sit right next door. There is some shared space within that building. As far as we're concerned, we're there looking at making sure all the conditions are upkept, make sure everything's good.
Okay, so it looks like on the left, looks like a broken window and a door frame
Correct,
and messy, kind of disorganized stairs.
correct.
Okay, can you go to the next one? Now, what's this a picture of?
These pictures, I believe, are from property maintenance as they are dated. My camera does not date. These are some electrical outlets that probably should be covered up, some open areas, some pretty bad plumbing that looks like it needs some attention.
And it looks like, also the ceiling looks like it's falling in.
Correct.
Okay, you go to the next picture. And what do we have here?
Again, property maintenance photos. This looks, as when I consulted with the fire inspector, it looks like there was some sort of fire at some time. Also some more broken windows, open areas that needed some cleanup.
And can you go to the next picture? And what do we have here?
This was actually in some of the main area that they were using, not necessarily for their patrons to come in, but their staff, whoever was working. This was the garbage that was piled up. It was going down the stairs to the basement. It was kind of all through there.
Okay. And just to reiterate, all these pictures were taken on June 5th.
That's correct.
And this was after liquor control took
This is
possession of
during
the
the raid.
property. You guys were permitted in.
Correct, during the raid.
Okay. You go to the next slide. And can you tell us what these pictures represent?
Yes, these are more of some building maintenance and property maintenance issues, but they were noticed that there's the grease interceptor. It's a big building code issue. Deep fryers, they must have an ANSEL system according to fire marshal, building code inspector, and property maintenance. The refrigerator photo was taken for the health department to show the kind of condition of food that was being served or if there was food being served. This is the only refrigerator that I found on site. The other area is a wash and mop area, and this must have a service sink per the plumbing code.
Okay. And it's fair to say, Ms. Maloney, you heard her testimony.
Yes,
She referenced some plumbing
Correct.
issues, so she probably referenced these things,
yes, correct.
Okay. You go to the next picture. Now, can you tell us what these pictures represent?
Yes, this is some improper pipe supports, sanitary tees. This is all under the plumbing code and the building code. Incorrect pitches on the wastewater. From my understanding, that some of this stuff is going directly into the city system because there's nothing to catch that.
Okay. So and that is contributing to the safety of the water system?
Correct.
Okay. Can you go to the next picture? What do we have here?
S-traps for plumbing under those sinks, those are prohibited to be used at all in commercial buildings. The running trap has to be located within 2 feet of the fixture per the 2018 IPC. And then just an unknown clean out. We weren't really sure where anything was going in there.
Okay. And can you go to the next picture? And what is this a picture of?
This is a point of sale that was referenced by the LCE agent to me, and I did take these pictures. It does note that everything's water and chips. So I don't see any food. I don't see any alcohol, obviously. But their sales are after 2 and after 3 a.m.
Okay. You didn't see anything that showed like 3 p.m., 4 p.m., or 5 p.m.?
No,
And nothing, and only water and chips?
that's the most of what I've saw.
Okay. You go to the next picture. Now, what's this a picture of?
This is the building inspector's posting from that day. Mr. Heizenreiter issued unlawful structure order to keep out.
Okay. And that was based, and he's the building code inspector.
That is correct.
And so he was one of the people that inspected the property on June 5th.
That is correct.
And so there was a number of violations per the building code.
His main is going to be the change and the occupancy change for fire code and building code issues.
Okay, so he was the one responsible for posting that. Okay, can you go to the next picture? What's this a picture of?
This is a picture of the zoning keep out unlawful building. Sorry, excuse me, unlawful structure. Same thing as building code. We just have to cite our own codes, and mine is citing the zoning ordinance.
So this is a different sticker than the
That
other
is
one.
correct, in 2 different locations.
How many total stickers were posted?
That day, there was 3 stickers posted that
Can you
day.
tell us quickly about the third one?
The third one was from Property Maintenance Inspector Aaron McBride. It listed it as an uninhabitable structure due to the property's conditions at the time.
And when it says unlawful structure, the use of the structure has not been lawfully approved, is unlawful for any person to use or occupy this building. What does that mean?
It means that nobody should be in that building right now. It is unsafe.
Okay. Now can you go to the next picture? And what does this picture show?
This is a copy of the health department letter that we received from Brianna Adams, the director. This is telling them that they have a suspension on their food license until this investigation is over.
And when we're talking about investigation, are we talking about the inspection violations from June 5th?
That's correct. Everything would need to be corrected.
So since June 6th, they're not allowed to
Correct.
serve food? Okay. Now, can you go to the next picture? So now, can you explain this slide?
Yes, these were actually 2 letters, and for ease, so you could see it and read it, I copied and pasted it in, but there is a building code violation, and it was for, after 6/5 of 2024, that the inspector inspected the property located at 1015 State. Said property is in violation of the Uniform Construction Code, UCC, 1503.55.
And is that in relation to like the plumbing issues?
Yes, it's telling us that there is improper occupancy for the determined use of the building.
And then the zoning code violation, that's in relation to what they're permitted to use the property for, but what the city
Correct.
believes they're using it for.
Correct. And dance club and bottle club are permitted uses in our C3 district. However, you do have to come to the zoning hearing board for special exception.
Okay. But can you go to the next slide? And what does this slide detail?
This is our permit application code. This tells everyone what is needed for permit application. Whenever we get anybody changing a use or changing a building, a footprint, anything, a permit needs to be taken out. In commercial business, the building plans do need to be architectural drawings that are stamped and approved by BIU. And then they would come here for permit application.
And BAU is the Erie's third party that does the basic inspections?
That is correct.
And the floor print or blueprint change is in regard really to the plumbing.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
It would hit the electrical and any building codes.
Okay, so the plumbing in this issue, that's what there's citations for.
Correct.
Okay. You go to the next slide. That's just a continuation of the permit, right?
Yes, correct. This is straight from the ordinance.
Okay. You go to the next slide. Okay. Now, can you tell us what slide 31 is?
Yes, apparently this was one of their events. It is interesting to see the admission prices at this restaurant for this event. $500 for 4 people. Seems extreme, but I could be out of it by now. I think what's interesting here is that you can be 18 or you can be 21 while there's liquor being served.
Okay. And so these are all entry fees for the.
That's
this
correct, for
restaurant.
that specific event.
Okay.
And that was scheduled for June 7th.
Okay. Now, can you go to the next slide, please? Now, what's going on in these slides?
You know, State Street's pretty used, so we drive that way all the time, and somebody had noticed that the signs were removed. from the location. So we do have to go back and post that for public safety issues.
Okay, so it looks like you reposted on June 7th.
That's correct.
And if I recall, you posted initially on June 5th.
That is correct.
So in a span of 24 to 48 hours, you had to repost.
That's correct.
Okay. And is this you in the picture reposting?
Yes.
Okay. And then what is the bottom two pictures?
Bottom two pictures just showed an ad that they were moving the event to Privé at 1137 East 11th Street in Erie, PA. And then ticket prices severely dropped.
Okay. So for this particular thing, they weren't actually partying on June 7th.
That's
It was a
correct.
different location. But you did have to address the signs.
I had to
notices.
address the reposting.
Okay. Now, can you go to the next slide? Can you tell us what's going on here?
Yeah, so the property maintenance inspector had received a call that all his code violations were corrected, and he did go to the facility to make corrections to their violation.
Now, let's be clear, the things that were cleared up were maintenance related.
Yeah, property maintenance related only, no permits for plumbing or
So
anything.
really, we're talking about the pictures we saw earlier with the garbage bags of garbage on the stairwell and in the hallway.
That's correct.
That's what we're talking about.
Correct.
We're not talking about any of the other pictures. of
Correct.
stuff- Of corrections. And so Aaron McBride, he's the maintenance inspector.
Correct.
He was the only one contacted, correct?
Correct.
Like, for instance, you're one of the zoning officers?
Yes.
And you made a determination and also posted a notice.
Correct.
Have you been contacted with any of the corrections?
Not since.
Okay. Can you go to the next slide then, please? So is this the official notice from Aaron to Crow LLC?
Yeah, this is the email communication between Stephen Crow and Aaron McBride. And I can read it to you. It says, "Good morning, Mr. Crow. I'm pleased to inform you that I've met with your property manager at 1015 State yesterday, and the property maintenance violations have been corrected. I have removed the uninhabitable sticker from the window and have informed her that the other stickers must remain posted until they are also resolved."
Okay, and this is an email from June 18th.
That's correct.
So roughly 13 days after the inspections.
Correct.
And he's telling them flat out that the other two stickers from zoning and from building need to stay up.
That's correct.
Okay. And those stickers are the stickers that says "do not enter unlawful entry."
Correct.
Okay. Can you go on to the next slide? Now, what is this?
This is one of the keep out signs. This would be specifically the building inspector's sign because it's on the door and it is being removed.
And do we know who's removing it?
It appears to be Sherelle Maloney.
We can't see the person's face, but
That's correct.
okay. But it is someone removing, again, one of the stickers.
That's correct.
So we had them removed before, so this is at least the second time?
Yes.
Okay. Can you go to the next slide? What's going on here?
Just the two key takeaways that are most important about this sticker is that it is unlawful for anybody to occupy this building because of safety issues, obviously. And then it's also unlawful for anybody to remove that sign that is not an authorized person.
So was the person in the prior slide authorized to remove any stickers?
No,
No matter who it was.
no matter who it was.
So only the code officials for the city are permitted.
That's correct.
Okay, can you go on to the next slide? Now, what is this?
We noticed that they were going to open back up after removing those signs again. There is food being advertised in this one, DJ, and that's about it on this.
Okay, now, this is, you saved this particular slide on June 22nd?
Correct.
And is that also 2 slides before was June 22nd as well? When the sticker was taken down?
I believe so, yes.
So the
Thank you.
same day the sticker
Yes.
came down by someone who's not an authorized code official, there was posting on the
That's correct.
Facebook or internet that they're back open and ready to go.
Correct.
And they're back at 1015 State, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And we have the mention of Jawan Jones. We have the mention of Who's Hungry. And they got a DJ,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Okay. You go to the next picture or slide. And what is this?
This would be another ad for June 22nd, beginning of the summer bash. Food special is $10 wings and fries all day. Late night, 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. Private event. I'm not sure how that works. $10 wings and fries for in-house customers and a live DJ at 12 a.m.
Okay, so really enhancing the dancing part of it. And does it say what hours they'll let people in?
I'm
Does it say
sorry.
what hours they're having?
It just says 12 a.m.
Okay. Which
I'm sorry, I apologize. This one does say 11 a.m. it's going to open.
Okay, but that's also consistent with 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock when they open?
Well, this says a.m. on this ad.
Oh, AM, okay, gotcha. Can you go to the next picture? Okay, what's going on here?
This is a video that was sent to me that night on June 22nd, and I will play that for you.
Okay,
Oops. This was a fight that was occurring inside the restaurant
okay.
or
Does that,
dance club.
again, you're familiar with being inside the building, having inspected it. Does that look like the inside of the restaurant?
Yes,
And is it also kind of similar to the prior video we saw?
yes,
So that fight took place inside.
correct.
Okay. So, okay. We're going to move to the next slide.
This slide was sent to me by Brianna Adams, Director of Erie County Health Department Division Environmental Health Services.
And can we say, what does this essentially
She
say?
is she's reiterating that they have a suspended food license at that location.
And the license is suspended until all the building and code, Erie City of Erie code stuff is taken care of.
That's correct.
So as of June 27th, that hadn't been taken care of.
That's correct.
And we're very specific here. We're talking about the building code and the zoning code stuff.
That's correct.
Only the garbage had been removed, which was
Correct.
dealt with maintenance. All right, can you go on to the next picture? Again, what is this?
We noticed that on June 28th that they had posted that they're now open Wednesday through Saturday, 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. as advertised and with the days and the hours on that ad.
Okay, so as of that date, so they're not open, so these are new hours, correct?
Possibly.
Okay, well, you showed us a previous slide that showed
It
different
never
hours than this.
updated the actual business page hours.
But this says 12 to 4,
Correct.
and that's midnight to 4 a.m.,
Correct.
not during the dinner hour or the lunch hour.
Correct.
Okay. You're gonna go on to the next slide? And what is this?
This is also another video that was sent to me. This is a video that shows at 3:07 a.m. what State Street looks like right now. One of the bartenders from McCoy's had to be escorted out and needed to get out of her vehicle. I'm going to play the video.
Okay.
It's not super long, but a minute
Okay.
or so. Or 3 minutes, I should say.
Would it appear from the video that it looks like cars are being blocked?
Yes, I think it's a black Jeep that's sitting here. That's the bartender trying to get out of the location.
And we can notice people kind of walking in the streets,
Correct.
and this is all 307?
3:07 a.m.
Okay. And can you identify the bartender?
I do not know the bartender.
But it looks like that person's having trouble leaving.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So that's the bartender's car.
Yes, correct.
It's clear that they're blocking traffic.
Yes, correct. Correct.
So, and that in itself would be a safety issue. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was just making sure that was the end of the video.
Okay. You want to go to the next slide? Is this continuation? Is this a different?
This is a different video. It does show a domestic disturbance outside in that location where a gentleman hits a female. It'll be in the corner of the bottom left, I believe. And you can see that there's an awful lot of things going on in the background at the same time. This is now 3:17 a.m. on the same night.
Now, and we know that Reflections is open from 12 until 4, correct?
That's correct.
And we know that McCoy's closes at 2.
That's correct.
So McCoy's has been closed for an hour and 17 minutes.
That's correct.
Hey, Ben, you doing okay?
Okay, it's fair to say towards the end of the video, there's 2 people getting into an altercation.
Correct.
Several shoves or punches.
Correct.
Correct? And that's slide 44 or
45.
45 for reference. Okay, thank you. Okay, can you go on to the next slide, please?
Yes, this is July 4th, 2024. Doors are opening at 11 p.m. for a private event.
Okay,
It's catered as well
okay. So they're saying it's catered.
with the DJ.
So July 4th, and what's the next slide? July 13th?
Yes, July 13th. Doors are opening at 12 a.m. Private event is catered by Jahan Jones again.
And can we just be clear that the 2 stickers from zoning and from building code, no one's allowed in the building.
That's correct.
So they're using the building despite having it been posted at least 2 times.
That's correct.
Okay. Can you go to the next one?
Just another continuation of doors are open at 12, private event catered by. Still, nobody should be in the building at this time.
Okay. Can you go to the next slide? So this is July 26th.
Yes, this one, 18 and up, no purses, no beverages or alcohol allowed. Private event catered by Jahan Jones. Cancers and Leos are free until 12:30 a.m. Doors open at 12 a.m. and there's also a $20 reentry fee after leaving.
Okay, so it's a private event, but Cancers and Leos are free until 12:30?
Correct.
Must be a lot of, how do they know who's a Cancer or a Leo?
I'm not quite sure.
Doors open at 12, and again, there's a reentry fee.
Correct.
Okay. And again, on July 26th, no one's permitted to be in the building.
That's correct.
Okay. You know, the next slide?
August 1st, 12 days ago, doors opened at 11:55 p.m. for a private event catered by Jahan Jones again.
Okay, now this is, this is August 1st. So today's
Yes.
August 13th, correct?
Correct.
So this was 12 days ago.
Yes.
Okay. And again, doors opening around midnight. And again, private events.
Correct.
Okay. Do we know if any certain Scorpios maybe get in for free?
I do not know the answer to that.
You go to the next slide, please. And what's the date of this one?
Just this past weekend,
Okay, so August 9th, that would have been
August 9th,
Friday.
Friday. Private event catered by Jahan Jones. Doors open at midnight both nights. On 8/9, ladies are free until 12:30 a.m. On 8/10, all Leos are free until 12:30 a.m.
Okay, again, private event, but they're encouraging ladies and Leos to show up at this private event.
Correct.
Okay, and again, open at midnight.
Correct.
Okay, can you go to the next slide, please?
As of July 5th, there were no permit applications that were received in the code enforcement office. In late July, there was an attempt made by Kirk Cosmatine, who is a licensed master plumber in the city of Erie, to obtain a plumbing permit as he was being contracted to do the plumbing work. Per Andy Zimmerman, the building code official, any work to be permitted there would require commercial certified plans, as we stated in the ordinance, before making application to the permitting department for the change in use.
And the ordinance that you talked about was what we cited here, and that was 3 different pages.
Correct.
Okay. So basically, they tried hiring someone, but that person wasn't able to get a permit because they hadn't fulfilled all the requirements yet.
That's correct. It would have required the architectural plans.
Okay. You want to go to the next slide, please? What is this?
Monday, August 5th, I posted the property for the variance hearing for today. Per section 507 in our zoning ordinance, I'm required to do that within the 7 days of the hearing. For all public notification, it is also advertised in the Erie Times News as a public agenda item. And at this time, it was there. I always take my picture. I always make sure I use my iPhone screenshot so that I can get the date and the time that I've posted that.
Okay. You go to the next slide, please. Now, just for a frame of reference, we know that in June of 2023 is when Reflections was approved as an eating establishment.
That's correct.
So what we have here is a list of crimes reported to the Erie Police Department.
That's correct.
And these could be things that are where people have been charged with a crime. or people-
Charges or being investigated, or something has happened that has triggered police activity to the building.
Okay, so at least on this particular slide, of note would be the first things get listed at 1:32 a.m. Aggravated assault. Someone was hit over the head with a liquor bottle.
Yes.
And then you have a bunch of what I would call either serious offenses. So on September 8th, you listed a possible assault/sexual assault.
Yes.
And according to what we know, they were upset because they wouldn't serve her more alcohol.
Yes. That's what the report read.
Okay. Now, can you go to the next slide, please? Or can you go back to the old slide?
Mm-hmm.
So we have 4 dates right there.
Yes.
You go to the next slide, we have how many in this particular slide?
9.
So 9 plus 4, we have 13. And we have stuff going on almost every weekend or month. Can you go back?
Mm-hmm.
And again, we have, not that one, the second one. So going back to May 6th, we have an alleged sexual assault.
Correct.
A woman did report to the police that she didn't remember what she drank after 1 shot of tequila.
That's correct.
And we have some other assaults, someone being found passed out, other disturbances, correct?
That's correct.
Can you go to the next one then? Now, how many do we have here? Is that 8 more?
Yes.
And we're up to 21 total?
Correct.
And all of these are actually from the last 60 days or so.
Yes.
Okay. We have another on July 20th, an aggravated assault.
Yes.
Someone struck in the back of the head with a beer bottle.
Yes.
And we know that person had injuries, actually.
From what I've been told, they were put into the ICU.
Okay, so concussion and skull fracture. And then can you go to the last page or the next page? And these are the most recent, correct?
Yes. Driving by again on 8/7, I noticed that my sign had been removed for the variance hearing. On 8/8, there was another report of sexual assault. There's no information fully on that yet, as that's developing. And as of 8/12, no application for permits or building plans have been submitted to the city of Erie.
Okay, so it's fair to say that over the last year, but especially in the last 60 days, there's been multiple police
That's
calls
correct.
to deal with stuff. And as of yesterday, still nothing had been submitted to the code office to start getting the stuff fixed.
That's correct.
Okay. Do you have any other slides?
That is it. I did have one that didn't make it in. I'd like to talk about it. It does involve fire code, if you need it. Okay.
Why don't you pass it out? And watch the wires. Can you give a copy to Sherelle as well? And Amy, this is our last slide, correct?
This is.
Why don't you talk about this one?
Yeah, this is a hot plate and a deep fryer in this photo. And unfortunately, our fire inspector could not be present on the day of the raid due to some other issues that he was dealing with in the city. But he did mention to me today that the fire code issues with the electrical boxes, they're not covered. The fire marshal can elaborate on that if needed. I am not an expert in that in any way. And there was no permission granted for the fire inspection. When Bill Morton came to talk to us about a week ago, I had asked him to give this to his clients, that our fire inspector did need to do an inspection.
Okay. And that wraps up your presentation.
Correct.
Okay. And based on, now you as the zoning officer, correct? Based on all this evidence and information you received, this is why the zoning office posted there was a change in use of the property.
Change in use, not a change in zoning.
Right. So it was established as a eating establishment, no alcohol,
Correct.
and now we think it's being used as something else.
Alcohol, dance club, bottle club.
I don't have any other questions for Amy.
Ms. Maloney, do you have any questions? And if so, you're free to do that, but if you think they're going to be more than 5 minutes, we'll take a quick recess and then we'll let you start up.
Well, I don't have any questions, but I do just want to speak on some of the slides if possible. Like, it'll be quick, it just doesn't, I can wrap it all up.
Ms. Maloney, do you have any witnesses that you wish to call?
No.
Just as a point of inquiry, no? Okay. Why don't we take 5 minutes and then we'll give you an opportunity to ask questions about the exhibits? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're back on the record. Ms. Maloney, you wanted to ask Ms. Francis a couple of questions about the slides.
No, I did not want to ask any questions. I just wanted to give some information in regards to some of the slides.
Well, this is what we'll do. This is the time where you would cross-examine witnesses. We'll give you an opportunity to speak about the slides once Attorney Check is finished with his presentation. You'll also have an opportunity to cross-examine any witnesses that he calls. But at this point, if you don't have any questions for Ms. Francis, we'll allow Attorney Check to move forward with his case, but we will give you an opportunity to make comments about the various slides. Fair enough?
Okay, well, I do just have one question then in regards to the list from the police about the calls. A lot of them just have dates and times. What's to say that these are calls for Reflections exactly?
When I asked the police for reports at 1015 State, this is the query of everything that's related to that address.
So these are all supposed to be just in regards to 1015?
As long as it had the address 1015 State.
Okay, but as of this time, there's no way to see that address exactly?
No, we do a query on 1015 State, just that specific address.
Okay, thank you.
Attorney Scheck?
Thank you. Just as a housekeeping matter, I would ask that exhibits, the slideshow could be exhibits A 1 through 57 and A 59 be admitted. into
Ms.
the
Maloney,
record.
any objections to the admission of the slideshow exhibits? We'll admit those exhibits. Attorney Check, if you have any future exhibits, we'll continue with the alphabetical theme of B, C, D. And just as a matter of housekeeping, Ms. Maloney, I've numbered your exhibits, and I'm just going to, just so the record is clear, Exhibit 1 is the food service establishment license for Reflections from the Erie County Department of Health. Exhibit 2 appears to be the same document. It's from the Erie County Department of Health. It's a food service establishment license for Reflections. Correct. Exhibit 1 is for June 10, 2024. Exhibit 2 is July 17, 2023. Exhibit 3 is a screenshot of the sales tax license for Reflections. Exhibit 4 appears to be an email exchange between Ms. Francis and Ms. Maloney. It is a 2-page document, front and back. Exhibit 5 appears to be it's an advertisement that begins with the sentence, "Looking for a unique dining experience." Exhibit 6 is an email from Ms. Maloney that again has it appears to be an advertisement that states, "Looking for a unique dining experience." Exhibit 7 is a sales report, reported on August 13, 2024 for July 1st, 2023 through June 1st, 2024. It is a front and back document. Exhibit 8 is a vegetarian menu for Reflections at 1015 State. Exhibit 9 is a sales report for July 1st, 2023 through June 1st, 2024. It is a front and back document. Exhibit 10 is a advertisement for chicken wings at Reflections 1015 State. Exhibit 11 is an advertisement for a vegetarian menu at Reflections 1015 State Street. Counselor, you may proceed.
Thank you. I'm just going to call Jesse Stiles up and come up to the podium. Okay, Mr. Stiles, could you state your name for the record and who you work for?
My name is Jesse Stiles. I work for the Erie County Department of Health.
And how long have you been there?
Approximately 3 years.
And what is your title?
I'm a supervisor for the Environmental Health Services Division.
Are you familiar with the business located at 1015 State Street?
I am.
Okay. And can you tell us, was that address or that business permitted for serving food?
At one point in time, yes, they were.
Okay. And was that when they opened June of last year?
Correct. Correct.
And do you know if there was liquor approved as well?
No.
Okay. And can you tell us what happened? Was the county or the health department notified after June 5th?
We were.
And what happened as a result of that?
We wrote a letter on June 6th informing Reflections that their license was on hold, on suspension, and they were not to open until they were re-inspected by the Erie County Department of Health.
Okay. And was that the same letter? Because you were present for the slideshow presentation?
Correct. That is the same letter that was in the slideshow from Brianna Adams.
Okay. And you're here on behalf of the health department, correct?
Correct.
So even though you didn't sign the letter, you'd have access to the file and
I
all
do.
of that?
Yes.
Okay. And did the violations from the city, did they contribute to the health department's decision?
Correct, they did.
So we talked about really essentially some maintenance issues, zoning issues, and plumbing issues. And all three of those need to be fixed before they would be permitted to get their permit back?
Correct, and they would have to be re-inspected. So even if they were corrected, until we inspected them, their license would not be reinstated.
And you would not inspect them, or the health department would not do the inspection until all the code stuff was correct?
Correct.
So it's a process?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you've heard, there's been some commentary or testimony about catering. So there's been the name Jawan Jones or the business name Who's Hungry has been mentioned. Can you tell us about catering, or do you have knowledge of those entities or names?
I do. So
What do you want to tell us?
neither Jahan Jones nor the establishment, Ms. Maloney referenced earlier that he was preparing food out of, have a catering license through the Erie County Department of Health. You would have to have a separate catering license from eating and drinking establishment to provide food for catering services.
Okay, so just so we're clear, a catering license is completely different from an established restaurant license.
Correct, yes.
And as far as you know, there's no such catering license.
Not for Jahan Joe's nor for the establishment that was referenced for him to be preparing food out of, I believe it was AJ's.
Okay,
They do have an eating and drinking license, but they do not have a catering license.
okay. So anything that happens out, that Jawan Jones does outside of his essentially restaurant would be not certified or permitted.
Correct.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
Just as far as the license goes, in regards to the letter, not only from June 6th, but the one from June 27th, both of them clearly state that the restaurant is to remain closed until a formal inspection is to take place,
Okay.
which has not happened.
And that also, that letter you just referenced was part of the slide presentation.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I don't have any other questions for you, Mr. Stiles. I don't know if Ms. Maloney would have any questions.
You have no questions for this witness, Ms. Maloney? No, okay, thank you.
Okay, you can have a seat then.
Thank you.
And
Does the board have any questions for this witness?
No, we don't.
now, may he be permitted to be excused if he so chooses.
I have no issue with that.
Okay, so if you need to go or want to go, it's up to you.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks. Okay. Next, the city would call Scott Heisenreiter. And Scott, could you state your name for the record?
Sure. Scott Heitzenrader, City
And-
Building Inspector.
And how long have you worked for the city?
March of 2003,
And how long have you been the city building inspector?
June of 2005.
Okay. And what are your general duties as the building inspector?
Well, general construction, also do maintenance issues. Department of Health calls me regularly. They feel a need for issues that they arise.
Okay. And is it part of your job duties to enforce one of the international codes?
Yes,
Which code is your particular specialty?
2018 International Building Code.
Okay. And so are you familiar with the business located at 1015 State Street?
Yes,
And did you inspect that business on June 5th?
yes.
What did you see, or did you take any pictures?
I did take some pictures.
Were
Yes.
some of the pictures incorporated into the slideshow we saw?
None of mine were, but they're all the same pictures.
Okay, so the pictures that
Yes,
were shown, do they show an accurate representation of what you
Yes.
saw? Now, did you put any notices on the building?
yes,
And was that the notice that we saw in the slideshow?
correct.
And why did you put the notice, why did you post that notice?
Well, after we were in there, it's obvious it wasn't being used as a restaurant.
And what led you to that determination?
The amount of alcohol in the kitchen, Ansel, there's no food there, there's no refrigerators with food. So we determined it's not a restaurant.
And for any other building issues, you know about the plumbing code?
Sure,
And so was part of the posting due to the plumbing issues as well?
yes.
And what were some of the plumbing issues?
Well, there's incorrect plumbing in the basement, no grease trap. There's several violations. They did receive a letter stating the violations.
Okay. And what does the business need to do? There was some reference earlier that they need to get a permit with blueprints and other plans.
Yes.
Can you explain that process to the zoning board?
Any commercial construction, you're required to have architectural plans or design professional PE plans sent to building inspection underwriters. They need to be reviewed, stamped, then they would bring those plans to the city to obtain permits.
And that's all outlined in the ordinance that we saw as part of the slideshow.
Correct.
And to your knowledge, have you been contacted or have they applied for the permit with the appropriate building plans or blueprints?
No.
So since June 5th, if they have been operating a restaurant, it's been without compliance.
Correct.
And also, maybe as a reiterate, but your posting also says it's unlawful to be in the structure.
Yes.
And you're also aware that some of your notices were torn down, correct?
Correct.
Did you have to repost some of your notices?
I believe the zoning, I did not repost mine. The zoning officer reposted theirs.
Okay. But still, your notice is ongoing though,
Yes.
until it's fixed. Okay, I don't have any other questions for you, Mr. Heisenberger.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And, okay.
You stated that you were not contacted by anyone, is that correct?
Correct.
So you don't remember having a conversation with myself that you called me after receiving a voicemail, as well as with the plumbing inspector?
I did not talk to you. I think you might have talked to the plumbing inspector, and he is here. I do not recall speaking to you at all.
Okay, I don't have no further questions.
Attorney Check, you have any follow-up?
No follow-up. And also, if there's no other questions, I would ask that Mr. Heisenberger to be excused if.
Does the board have any questions? Sir, you may be excused. Thank you.
So you can stay or goes as you please. Okay. Speaking of the plumbing inspector, could Zach Kindle please come up? Okay. Zach, can you state your name for the record?
Zach Kindle,
Can you
plumbing,
state, yeah, go ahead.
plumbing inspector for the city of Erie,
And how long have you had your position?
just under 3 years.
And is it your duty to enforce the International Plumbing Code?
Correct, 2018.
And you are the plumbing inspector for the city of Erie?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with the business located at 2015 State Street?
I am.
And did you do an inspection on June 5th of 2024?
I did.
Did you see or take any pictures?
I did.
Okay. Do some of the pictures, were they in the slideshow, or do some of the pictures represent what you saw and took pictures of?
They relate, and actually I have them right here. So the pictures I took, I give a brief description of what the code violation was correlating with that picture, and gave them to the zoning officer, Amy, and she typed them up and put them onto this paper I have and also the slideshow.
Okay. Can you tell us about the plumbing issues? Like what
Yes.
why are these issues?
Okay, so I guess we'll start in the basement. The condition of the plumbing in the basement is in very bad shape. The pipe supports are not even close to code. There was some visible leaking sanitary sewage on a couple of the drainage pipes in the basement area, along with what Amy had up here. The pitch is wrong, meaning the fall, which should gradually go out towards the State Street into the main in the street. The fall was incorrect. There was some plumbing fittings that are not to code for the installation that they are in. And then looking at a couple other ones here, there's just, the other big one is the service sink in the kitchen area where the prep food is made.
Okay.
That is code. That would be under table 403.1, where you have to have a service sink in order to mop the floors and empty your water. The grease interceptor under the 3-bowl stainless steel sink in the kitchen area after you were to prep food and obviously wash your dishes, pans, whatever, you're going to have some grease byproduct. And that is going directly into the city main, which is that's illegal and definitely not to code. And then other than that, there was just some minor things in the bathrooms as far as drainage pipe, again, that is not to code.
Okay. And if you look over to the TV screen to your left, those are the pictures that are part of the slide. Do that kind of represent what you're talking about?
Yes, top left would be where the grease interceptor would need to go. And it would serve just that 3-bowl sink there. The bottom left would be where, there is a mop station there, but you have to have means in order to dump the heavy bucket of water, obviously. And then, okay, so those look like the fryers there. That would go along with the Ansel system. And then that fridge, like Amy talked about on her slideshow.
Okay. Now, have you been contacted since June 5th? Do you know by Ms. Maloney or anyone else?
I did have a brief conversation with her regarding the grease interceptor, and kind of explained why we needed to have that there. Consisted of maybe 5 minutes or so, and she was gonna move forward, trying to get a plumber in there, which Mr. Cosmatine did try to obtain a permit, but he didn't want to go through with the whole process of getting plans by BAU and having them stamped and approved and all that. He was just kind of trying to go in there and fix what he could and what he had to try to make it to code, and we're a little bit past that.
Okay. And so as far as you know, up until at least the present day, nothing has been fixed?
No.
Thus far. And you would be the city inspector for plumbing, correct?
Correct.
So if anyone would know if they're up to code yet, it would be you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I don't have any other questions for you then.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
The day that you referenced that we spoke about the grease interceptor, do you recall how we became to have a conversation?
I know it was on speakerphone. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, it was on speakerphone.
Right.
And who were you with that initiated the call?
It was in my office. I don't remember you gotta understand, we deal with a lot of public, I mean, every single day. It could, if you're leading to, it could have been Scott, it very well could be, I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yes, if I may, Scott contacted me, you were with him, and that's what led us to having a conversation.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
Does the board have any questions for this witness?
No. And the same thing, if this witness wishes to be excused, he can leave if he wants.
He may be excused.
Okay. Call next, Aaron McBride. Okay. Aaron, if you could state your name and title.
Aaron McBride, City of Erie Property Maintenance.
Okay. And your specialty for the city is the International Maintenance Code.
Yes,
Correct.
2018.
And are you familiar then with the 2015 State Street address?
1015.
1015, whatever I said.
Yes.
1015. Okay. Did you inspect that business on June 5th?
Yes.
And what did you see anything or did you take any pictures?
A lot of the photos that you have were mine on a
Okay, so
slideshow.
there's slide 19 on the TV screen. Those are pictures that you took?
Yes.
Okay. And as a result of that, did you post any notices?
I posted it uninhabitable due to the sanitation conditions.
And if I remember, this is one of the 3 notices that were posted, correct?
Right.
Okay, now, so you were contacted though by Miss Maloney or someone, correct?
Yeah, she contacted me and she was out of town, but she had me meet with Miss Genovese and John.
Okay, and so we did see an email earlier or contact that you said that your notice can come down
Right,
because they had cleaned up that area.
right.
And really the area dealt with mostly trash and blocking stairs and doorways.
Yep, the egress.
Now, but you made it very clear in your email though that they still had the zoning notice and the building code notice.
Yeah, and I sent that to Mr. Crow, and I told them in person while I did the re-inspection that the other notice must stay up there until they're, taken care of as well.
I don't have any other questions for Aaron.
Ms. Maloney, do you have any questions for this witness? No. Does the board have any questions for this witness?
So you did not remove the posting yourself?
I removed just the uninhabitable.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And then I would call Donald Sauer. Now, Don Sauer, could you state your name and title for the record?
Donald Sauer, Chief Fire Marshal,
And can you state how long have you been with the city?
27 years,
And how long have you been either a fire marshal or fire inspector?
4 years.
And is your specialty include the International Fire Code?
Yes,
Now, are you sort of familiar with 1015 State Street?
Yes.
Now, I asked other inspectors whether they inspected the business on June 5th. You did not, though, correct?
Correct. I was at a structure fire and was unable to attend.
Now, but you were able to review a lot of the pictures that we saw in the slides.
Yes.
And based on your knowledge of the International Fire Code and the pictures, did you see what looked like some fire code violations?
Yes.
Could you tell the board what they would be?
One of them would be the outlet that was on the wall that did not have a cover on it. All electrical outlets need to have covers or boxes on them so no one can touch the wires inside. Another violation would be the last picture that Amy showed was there was a fryer. That fryer would need to be under a hood, just like the regular kitchen appliances, and it appeared not to be.
So obviously you didn't do a physical inspection of the property, but the pictures, those are what you have some worries about.
Correct, yes.
And your job obviously is for our business to be inspected so there's no fires or for public safety.
Correct.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about 1015 State?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Maloney, do you have any questions for this witness? No. Does the board? Thank you, sir.
Okay, and then I'll call up Sergeant Potts. Sergeant Potts, could you tell us your name and title?
Yeah, Dan Potts, P-O-T-T-S, Sergeant Patrol Group 2.
And do you work for the Erie Police Department?
Yes,
And how long have you been a police officer?
6 years.
Okay, and can you tell us, are you familiar with 1015 State Street?
Yes.
And with regard to 1015 State Street, we did see about 3 or 4 slides. There was a number of incidents where the police were called specifically to 1015 State. Is that correct?
Correct.
So they weren't called to the McCoys
Correct.
because that's a different address.
That's 1013 State.
So these are people who say when they call in, they say, I'm having issues, and they say, where are you located? They say 1015 State.
Reflections are 1015 State.
Okay. And can you tell us, how many issues, and it's fair, all the information that was gathered from the police department, these are just the information of calls and responding to the police, correct?
Correct. This appears to be what the CAD system would say, or in-car computer would display the nature of the call, the time of the call, where it was at.
Okay. And does the police department have a police car that's on State Street watching, not watching, but necessarily in case there's something that happens?
If we notice that there's an event going on nearby, we'll tend to stay in the area more.
Okay. And for large disturbances, are all these incidents essentially people who've been, at least reports taken, maybe some people have been arrested, maybe there's some cases that are pending, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when you went through this information, do you notice any serious crimes?
Yeah, I mean, we have ag assaults, weapon offenses, large disturbances.
Okay. Some sexual assault stuff?
Yeah.
And does the police department take, sexual assault charges, aggravated assault charges, and just assaults in general seriously?
Absolutely.
And in comparison to McCoy's, for instance, or some other bar that doesn't have this, does this take police officers away from their normal routine duties or more serious offenses, such as shootings or drug-related, to come and respond to this?
If it's like just a large disturbance or a large group gathering, yeah. If it's not something that's serious, obviously it's taking resources away for unnecessary or nuisances.
And it's fair to say that a lot of the disturbances that we have listed are from the last 60 to 90 days.
Correct.
So that's multiple times a month or maybe almost every weekend that the police have to.
Just about.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about? Can you confirm that these are all active cases or stuff that's being investigated?
Correct. They either have been investigated, which is, case closed, or ongoing.
Okay. I don't have any other questions for Sergeant Fox.
Ms. Maloney, do you have any questions for the sergeant? Does the board?
No.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Okay, thank you, Sergeant. And also, Sergeant, if he may be excused, he can say or go. Okay. And then would also call Miss Carrie Buttons. And Carrie, are you an officer technically?
Yes, sir.
So you're Officer Buttons. So I
Yes.
apologize for that.
It's just button, no S.
Okay. So you work for Liquor Control, correct?
Yes, State Police Liquor Control Enforcement,
And how long have you worked for them?
approximately 7 years.
Okay. Now, and as part of your, what are your general job duties with that?
We complete inspections at licensed establishments, so places that have valid liquor licenses, and then we also do criminal investigations for places who do not have liquor licenses but are selling alcohol in some regard.
Okay. And so are you familiar then with 1015 State Street?
Yes, sir.
And were you part of, I'll call it a raid for lack of a better comment, that went into 1015 State Street on June 5th?
Yes, sir. I was one of the officers involved with the search warrant service on that date.
Okay, so you did have a warrant,
Yes, sir.
and warrants have to be approved by a judicial judge, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so you did have a warrant there. Now, as a result of this, we did see some pictures. If you look on the TV to your left, TV screen with beer, with different bottles of liquor, are those things that you remember seeing from that date?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so is there anything you can add to the description of that, or is that?
Those are liquor bottles that were located in the second floor service area of the establishment located at 1015 State Street. Some of them were behind the service counter where you would see like a traditional bar setting, and others were located under the service bar there. But those were all bottles that were located on the premises.
Okay, you said those are on the second floor?
Yes, sir.
Did you find any alcohol or beer bottles on the first floor?
I believe there's only 1 or 2 bottles on the first floor.
Okay, so mostly the second floor. Another question, so as a result of this, was there any criminal charges filed against any individuals?
Yes, sir. 3 individuals were charged criminally.
Can you state their names and what they were charged with?
Sherelle Maloney, Jamar Williams, and Greg Mildrew were all charged with the same charge of illegal sales of alcohol.
And how many counts were they charged with?
I do not recall off the top of my head.
Was it 3 apiece?
I'd have to refer to the criminal complaint.
Okay, and it's fair to say that what you're talking about, that is a public record. The criminal complaint would have been filed with District Judge Wilson, correct?
Yes, sir.
So there were charges filed.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so Sherelle Maloney, how is she related to Reflections?
We know Sherelle to be the holder of the health permit, and also she was the person who was in charge of, while she was there during the date of the search warrant service, she was the person who was able to access the POS system for us and to bring the lights up so we could actually see things during the inspection. So we know that she is involved in a leadership capacity of that establishment.
So it's fair to say it was extremely dark when you went in?
It was very dark.
Okay. Interesting. And was it Jamar Williams?
Jamar Williams is also known to be a person who promotes the events. He's been observed on the premises serving alcohol to patrons. He's greeted officers when they came in. He's also known to be his leadership in the premises.
And was the third individual Greg Muldrew?
Yes, sir.
And what is his connection to the business?
Greg Mildrew has been a bartender on various undercover purchases in the establishment.
Okay. And it's fair to say that the charges were filed because there's an allegation that they were serving alcohol.
Yes, sir.
And they don't have a liquor license.
That is a fact. They do not have a liquor license.
Okay. And that's the basis for the criminal charges that are pending.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to tell us about this?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Some quick follow-up. So is it fair to say that liquor control went in first on June 5th?
I believe we went in. I was late. I was getting the search warrant from the judge. I believe we went in with EPD to clear the building.
Okay, so make sure everything was safe?
Yes.
And then the city code inspectors went in, and that included zoning, building code, plumbing, and maintenance.
That is my understanding.
Okay. Okay, I don't have any other questions for Officer Buttons. So,
No questions, Ms. Maloney? Does the board have any questions for the officer?
Officer Button, you said that you were able to view the point of sale system.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
city has stated that the majority of the items were rung up as water or chips or a combination thereof. When you were on the premises, did you observe any water, chips, anything
They
of that
had
nature?
various non-alcoholic drinks as well and snack items on the first floor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I don't have any follow-up, so I'd ask her to be excused if she wishes to leave.
You may be.
Yeah, thanks. With that, I don't have anything else with the city.
The city rests?
Yes.
Ms. Maloney, you had indicated earlier that you wanted to make comments on some of the slides and the evidence that has been admitted. This would be your opportunity to do so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm not going to go through the specific slides because it's going to take longer than what's stated. There was something mentioned, first of all, in regards to the restaurant. It was stated that there was only a refrigerator that was in the photo that had food in it. We also have 2 deep freezers, well, a short deep freezer and then a taller freezer. Amy, do you recall seeing those in the kitchen?
I apologize. At this time, I do not.
Okay, well,
I would make an objection, because this is, she asked for a chance to argue essentially, or to comment. She did not ask, the chance to ask questions of witnesses was already waived essentially.
Ms. Maloney, do you have any response to that objection?
no, that's fine. My apologies.
And that objection sustained. So, Ms. Maloney, this would just be your opportunity to make comment on anything that you've observed thus far.
Okay. Well, again, as I stated, there were 2 freezers also in the kitchen that contain the food, which most of the food that is being served are in freezers, such as the wings, cauliflower, the things that are on the menus that you guys have. With the variance being posted, we were not aware that this was not supposed to be removed from the building. I did not see this variance in person, so I did not get to read it fully. However, it wasn't to our understanding that this was going to be taking place today. We thought we were solely coming to establish change of use or not. The flyers that were posted on the Facebook page, this is operated by the promoter of the events. So that is what you see mostly on this Facebook page, is the various events that we talked about that we were having. Again, they did state that the doors open for the events at 12 a.m. It was not stating the hours of the business in general. They were specifically stating the hours of those events. Also, these pictures that we're taking, these were pictures that were located on the 3rd floor of the building, which, as stated, were shared by the opposing building, McCoy's. So a lot of these issues were not reflections to have to deal with some of the broken windows and debris that were there. Some of those issues are, in fact, our neighboring building. Again, we have contacted multiple people at code enforcement in regards to the codes that we had to get taken care of. I don't know if I am able to admit something else into review, which is actually our code violations from Aaron McBride himself. It was a 3-page list of actual violations that he submitted to us himself when we called him to rectify. It included some of the plumbing and electrical violations that he put on his paper. So when we were notified that the building was corrected and no longer uninhabitable, and he removed those signs, I was under the impression that because we had filed the appeal with the zoning board, that everything else was to, what's the word that they use in the code, that once you file an appeal, like their order stops. So basically what they said needed to be done stopped. That was my knowledge and understanding when we had removed the stickers. Also, the catering, I was not aware unfortunately, so I do apologize. I was not aware that a special catering permit was needed to have these catering events as long as the food was prepared as a licensed establishment. That was the impression that I was under as well when we were hosting the catered events. As far as the issues of outside goes, unfortunately, any establishment has no control over things that happen outside of their facility. For the events that we have, especially the evening and late events, we do have security. Recently, we have also hired a state constable to help with that security so that we can relieve some of those issues that may happen once those events are releasing people and people are going out into the crowds. When alcohol is given away at these events, it is not given away all the time, and it is not giving away for the duration of the event. That is something that I can specify. With the debris and things that were seen in these pictures, that specific weekend, we had an event called Napkin Wars. So most of those bags that were alongside of those stairs and on the bottom were filled with napkins. We wanted to recycle those napkins, but I wasn't aware that they no longer take them in the bags now. They have to be in canisters when you put them out due to something in the recycling thing that they do. So our trash night was Tuesday, which we had filled up from the previous activities. So when we went in there on Wednesday, which is why myself was there on Wednesday morning when they were able to issue the warrant, we were there to clean and also to rectify some issues that we had from our health inspection. As stated again, we did contact a plumber to do these repairs that they were stating needed to be done. When we contacted the plumber and he went down there to pull the permit, he informed me that he was told that we needed to hire an architect and get these plans because the building use was being changed. When I contacted the permit technician myself, she had stated to me that she had spoke with the zoning officer that day, and they told them that the building use was currently being changed by zoning. So we had to get drawing plans done by a licensed architect in order to move forward with the permit. So these are the reasons why we have not contacted or tried to get any other permits since then. We stated that we were just going to wait until we had this hearing because we were under the impression that they were trying to change the use of the building, and that's the reason why we couldn't get any permit at that time. I don't have anything further at this time.
Ms. Maloney, you had indicated that you want to attempt to introduce 3 additional exhibits.
Yes, from Aaron McBride.
Can you show those to council?
Yes.
And then council ask if you have any opinion as to the admissibility of the same.
I'm sorry, I might have given you the wrong one, the first page. Or it might be the same, I apologize. Yeah, it's fine. One more thing, if I may, while he's reviewing those. When doing these events, we were informed that in order to do events in a commercial building, that would actually fall under commercial recreation, which is a permitted use in the C3 district. And in reading the coding and zoning rules, it does state that we don't have to do anything else if you are using the building for already permitted use, that a zoning certificate is not needed because that is a permitted use under commercial recreation.
I've looked at these. I think my only objection is I think these are relatively redundant. There's already been in the slides, we show like what they're charged for. I think if I understand her argument correctly, she's saying that all of these were presented to her by Aaron McBride.
Correct. So Aaron gave those to us as an order to correct. So when he came to the building to correct or to say that the issues have been corrected, those were the issues that he sent us himself.
I guess my only commentary was that you saw the slide with his email from June 27th, I believe, and it clearly said that the maintenance code issues were taken care of, but that the building code and the zoning code issues remain, and that those had to be addressed. So whether or not this was sent all by Aaron or there was multiple correspondences, because we had 3 inspectors, so I would say that I would object just on that basis.
Thank you for the objection. It's overruled. We'll move to admit those exhibits for you. We'll mark them as appellants 12, 13, and 14.
No, I have a copy. Thank you.
Counsel, do you have any limited examination of this witness based upon her statements?
No.
Does the board have any questions for this witness?
Could you elaborate a little bit more about commercial recreation, how you interpret that?
Yes. So like I said, we are a restaurant. In order to use our restaurant as event space, I was told that that falls under commercial recreational use. So with commercial recreation, that is a permitted use by the zoning board, and that there is no additional certificates that is needed if the use is already permitted.
Do you know what the definition of commercial recreation is? What the examples are?
Yes, I do. It has commercial recreation, a commercial or institutional facility which offers various recreational opportunities for its patrons, including but not limited to such activities as indoor concert, psychic readings, computer use, golf courses, bowling, ice skating, swimming pools, video, and various games.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Maloney, when you have events, do you have like a standard agreement you sign with the event producers?
Yes.
What's involved in that?
In our agreement, it states what their fee is, whether or not we require them to have the security depending on the time of their events. It states in all of our agreements that no alcohol is to be sold. If they're having an event that has different age groups, then if they do have adult beverages that they give away, they have to be in a designated location to where all of the ages are not available to get. So we would allow them to have the adult beverages on the second floor, but not on the first floor. So anyone who is under 21 could not go upstairs.
I must have misheard you. I thought you said before you didn't use the second floor.
No, we didn't use the third floors where the pictures were taken that had all of the broken glass and things like that. That was the area that we don't use.
Okay. And then does your agreement have any verbiage about liquor liability? Because even if they're giving it away, that's kind of an issue.
No, as far as giving it away, no, it doesn't have anything specific to that. It just states that they're not allowed to sell it.
Okay. And you don't have, I know you probably don't have a copy of that with you.
I don't have it with me, unfortunately, no.
Okay. Thank you.
Does the board have any other questions?
I don't.
Ms. Maloney, do you have any other evidence you wish the board to consider?
I do not.
And since you're at the podium, do you wish to give a closing remark? And if so, you may.
Again, I would just like to state, it's basically repetitive, but when we opened this establishment, the reason why we opened it was for eating and drinking establishment. Again, we do sell food out of the establishment every single day that it was open prior to our license being suspended. With the exceptions of, sometimes we change our days. So sometimes we're not open Sunday and Monday, depending on the crowd. Right now it's football season. If our license was active, we would try to be open for the football, things of that nature. Again, we rent the space out for events. We did have events of our own. And again, we thought that classified under the commercial recreational use. So we did not think that we needed zoning certificate or additional permission from the zoning board. When we began this business and I have correspondence that I submitted with Amy, it was stated that once we have the food license, that it was not going to be considered a dance club, that it would be considered a eating and drinking establishment, just like the rest of the establishments on State Street. We are located right next to McCoy's. Although it is a bar with a liquor license, it is still considered an eating and drinking establishment. Big Bar is right around the corner. It's the eating and drinking establishment. They have the live entertainment. They have the live dancing. The only difference that they have is a liquor license to be able to sell liquor. There's a 1020 Collective, which is right behind us, which is an event center, which rents out their space. They're classified as an eating and drinking establishment. So in the C3 district, in this building, even with us having the events under the commercial recreation, it's not any different than any business that's been inside of this building for the last 20 years. The only difference is they had liquor license to be able to sell liquor. We don't have a liquor license, but again, we're not selling liquor. So like I said, us coming here today, we were just thought that we were opposing the change of use to the building, not the whole, like, state presented its case that was presented to us a little bit differently. So other than that, I don't have any further comments.
Thank you very much. Council, do you have any final statement you'd like to make on behalf of the city? And if so, you may.
I do. Just quick. They were permitted to be running an eating and drinking establishment, focus on the eating. The Super Chicken Lounge, which predated them, same thing. They were not permitted specifically to be a commercial recreation. That seems to be a new argument that just came up in the last part of this hearing. That wasn't mentioned when she gave her statement earlier in the day. When I look at the definition of commercial recreation, they talk about indoor concerts. Everything else doesn't even seem to come close. However, the zoning office, we look at the definition of either bottle club or dance club or after hours club, and it talks about dancing, payment of a fee, making money. They could serve alcohol or they might not. The pictures from June 5th speak for themselves. We have bottles and bottles of alcohol. She acknowledges that they are giving away alcohol. They're not supposed to. They don't have a liquor license. The videos show what looks like a large room where people are dancing and the lights are flashing. Every nightclub I've ever been in when I was in college, that's the exact thing that's set up. This is not an indoor concert where people are waving their cell phones like they used to do with lighters when I was younger. It quacks like a duck, it walks like a duck, it sounds like a duck. It's an after-hours club or a bottle club. Those are not permitted in a C3 unless there's a special exception. We have the pictures, you have some videos. We have gone to, and the city doesn't want to just hurt a business owner, but this business owner, and she's not taking any responsibility, obviously, but we have things happening inside Reflections. We have things happening outside Reflections. We have a lot of things happening on the outside. It's all happening. So all the information you got from the sergeant and the information in the slides are calls specifically for Reflections or 1015 State, not McCoy's and 1013 State. Okay? And a lot of that stuff happened after 2 o'clock. Again, we have this timestamps. This is a safety issue. The police have to send extra officers and squad cars to control some of these things. Sometimes you saw some fights, you saw a couple there. We have beer bottles as usually being used as a deadly weapon, essentially. That's how you get charged with aggravated assault. That's a felony 1 or 2. So, I mean, that's a up to 20-year sentence for felony 1, up to a 10-year sentence for a felony 2. These are serious charges. And I'm not even saying that simple assaults or any other misdemeanors aren't serious. They are. This is happening frequently. If you're driving down State Street, coming home from work or going to your job at early hours, there causes a ruckus on many weekends or weekdays. This is a problem. On top of that, so not only was liquor control have to get a warrant approved by a judge, they go in and they find what they need to find. They've arrested 3 people. Okay, they are charged with selling alcohol when they're not supposed to be. That's the allegation. For our purposes, I don't think it matters whether they're convicted or not. This is a civil matter. It's not a court of law. But that on top of all the alcohol you find, you know there's no liquor license. They're not serving food. At best, maybe they were, but clearly their permit to sell food in-house is shut down, even to the present day. And you heard from the health department that, and this is from their own lips, well, we have it catered. This is who's catering it. It's okay because we're catering it. No, it's not okay, because from the health department, you know that the person who's catering it doesn't have a catering license. So no, it's not okay. Everything they're doing is illegal. They say they wanted to go above board and be legal. They don't. Everything they said is a contradiction. And on top of that, when we go in, we have possible fire inspection, fire code violations. Now, unfortunately, our fire marshal couldn't be there that day, but he looks at the pictures. It's his job as the fire marshal to know the fire code. We have possible violations. Plumbing, we have grease and other waste things going into the main water system. That's not allowed. We have plumbing issues. You have building code issues. All the way the plumbing is set up and all the garbage and the maintenance. Now, to their credit, they cleaned up the garbage. Aaron McBride's job is once you finish what you do, he goes in, he inspects it as for the International Maintenance Code, solved. But we had issues with the International Maintenance Code, the International Fire Code, the International Plumbing Code, and the International Building Code. All of these codes are adopted by the city. All these other businesses follow them. We're not talking about Big Bar. We're not talking about McCoy's. We're not talking about any of those businesses. We're talking about 1015 State. So not only are they not following the code, they're doing whatever they want, and they've turned it, unfortunately, into a public safety issue. All the city wants them to do really is just follow what they're supposed to do. And there's plenty of things here. And so zoning wouldn't have changed the use. They didn't change, zoning didn't change the use. Remember, it's their actions as a business. When you look into it and you say, okay, what's going on? This is what they're actually doing. They changed their use without permission. And it just happens to be as part of the zoning code that if you're an after hours club or a bottle club or a dance club, you need an exception or variance or special exception from the zoning board. That is not here. And if they were operating in a regular eating restaurant, a lot of these events, they don't specify, oh, we're open at midnight. I've never heard of a restaurant opening at midnight. Just common sense. You know, we had the Perseid meteor shower this last month, right? It would be cool if they opened up a rooftop restaurant and said, oh, the Perseid meteor shower. They would have advertised the Perseid meteor shower. No, they advertised women in for free for the first half hour for ladies' night. Or if you're a Cancer or a Leo, you can eat chicken wings for 20 minutes for free. And you saw the videos. I think there's a bunch of contradictions here. We're just asking you to uphold what the zoning officer, I think, patently and spent a lot of time investigating on. This wasn't just something that was thrown together. The city worked, different departments worked together, worked with law enforcement to show that they're not operating as an eating and drinking establishment. They're operating as a bottle club or a dance club. And under those, they can't do that. That's my comments.
Thank you very much. And with that, the hearing is concluded.
We're going to go into executive session. All right, we're out of executive session. Is there a motion from a board member on the findings? We want to call for a vote.
For the vote, yes.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a call for the vote.
And I guess we should spell out what we're voting on.
Yes, the appeal was, it was an appeal of the determination of the zoning office, the unauthorized use of the property as a bottle club and/or dance club. So the vote will be on the appeal of the determination.
So a yes vote would be
to affirm.
We agree with the zoning officer. A no vote would be that we don't. How do you want to do it? So yes, we agree with the zoning officer. No, we don't agree with the zoning officer.
A no vote would be a denial of the appeal request.
So maybe just to be a friend to the board, what I would suggest doing is taking a vote on whether or not the appellant has satisfied their request that they did not violate the zoning ordinance. Stated differently, did the city prove its case that the appellant was using the property as a dance club and/or a bottle club? And I can frame that question for you either way, and then you can vote on that.
Yes, please.
You'd like me to do it that way? Okay. What the board is going to vote on is whether the city established or proved its burden that the property at 1015 State Street is being utilized as an impermissible dance club and/or bottle club. And if you say yes, then the city has proved its case. If you say no, then you are finding that the appellant has prevailed.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Gunchin?
Yes, I do feel the city has met its burden.
Ms. King?
I vote yes.
Mr. Sebald?
I vote yes.
Mr. Johnson?
I vote yes.
We have 4 votes in the affirmative that the city proved its case.
Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, sir.